Hey, the Recap Shark here. Today I'm showing you a horror anthology episode called Down. Beware, spoilers ahead. The story begins with Jennifer, an office worker who stayed up late at work and has plans to go on a trip to spend the Valentine's Day long weekend with her boyfriend Derek. On the other hand, we also meet Guy, a regular guy who works in another section of the same building. Apparently they are the only ones left in the offices and they meet in the elevator just as they were leaving. And despite being strangers, Guy tries to make the trip somewhat more pleasant, talking for a while. There they have a casual chat about their plans for the long weekend, and Jennifer shows him that she was planning to bring a gift to someone special, while Guy was just taking home a bottle of wine given to him by a client. Guy notices that on one of the walls, someone drew a picture of a person locked up and they laugh about it. But just at that moment, the elevator starts to malfunction and stops. At first, they try to use the alarm or call security, but no button works and they keep trying to open the door and get the attention of the camera. Although their plan is not going so well, because nobody is watching on the monitor. Jennifer tries to escape from the roof, but it is useless since it is sealed and only makes her get hurt. It also looks like there is no signal in the area either, so their only option is to wait until Tuesday for someone to find them. The girl feels a bit desperate because she might miss her flight, and to calm her down, Guy tries to talk to her in order to distract her a bit. They keep looking for ways to ask for help and try to shout and knock on the door, but none of that is heard in the rest of the building. Time starts to pass, and everything is going relatively well. They continue to joke around, and it seems that their coexistence is starting to become more pleasant, and they are quite friendly with each other, although they are still afraid of having to spend a couple of days locked up. Jennifer gets the urge to go to the bathroom, and there's nothing better to build confidence than watching herself pee. So she steps back and does it in an empty metal flask. By this point, Jennifer gives up because she realizes she's already lost her flight and completes the drawing on the wall by drawing herself. They keep chatting because it's all they can do, and apparently they both share lonely lives and realize that no one would care about them being locked in here. Because even though Jennifer has a boyfriend, they don't have a good relationship. And he doesn't even know she's going to see him. So taking advantage of the moment of sincerity, and to distract themselves a little, they end up drinking the red wine. Meanwhile, they start drawing, and Guy tells her that he had actually seen her around the building, but he didn't want her to think he's a stalker, and takes advantage of the fact that he's already telling her the truth to tell her that he thinks she's really cute. Although they ignore this and continue talking about something else. And among all the topics, they started talking about their favorite foods. She starts asking about his wildest stories, and Guy tells her that once in another job, he met a very beautiful girl and ended up getting it off with her whilst driving. But he starts to get a little uncomfortable, so he stops sharing the story. Although the story is seen to have aroused Jennifer, she tells him that there is no problem, that this is sincere, and she likes the fact that they can talk transparently. So he, playing along, tells her that he wants to kiss her. They start kissing and eventually begin to explore each other's gravitational pull. Straight after they got it on, she starts acting weird because she feels guilty, since she was supposed to make things right with her boyfriend. So she tells him that what happened between them was just a one-time fling and that he shouldn't catch any feelings. But for Guy, what they had was very real, and he wants to take things more serious when the elevator thing is sorted out. So now Guy keeps insisting to her that this was more than just a casual thing and that he's worth more than this Derek guy. But since she wants to be totally honest with him, she tells him that she loves her boyfriend, and that's why she's going to go back to her normal life to try and fix their relationship. Jennifer didn't know it, but her words would make this whole situation turn into a nightmare. Guy feels so hurt that he confesses this whole thing was all a lie planned by him, and that he changed his whole identity, pretending to be Guy. A man who works in important companies, although he is just a simple guard who always saw her at the entrance and through the cameras. That's why he wanted to get close to her, and keeps telling her that he is so much better for her and that everything he did was just so they could get to know each other. But he sees that Jennifer doesn't change her mind. So he ends up giving up and uses a key to activate the elevator again and let her go. But just as he's about to leave, Jennifer comes up with the great idea of calling the police. Clearly, faced with this threat, the guy changes his mind and returns to deactivate the elevator. But they begin to fight, and in the process, break the key. Now they are really locked in. At that moment, she defends herself by giving a blow that knocks him out, and when she approaches him, it seems like he is dead, but he manages to grab her by the hair and grand slams her head to the canvas like John Cena, so they both end up unconscious on the floor. When she wakes up, he is sitting in the corner and explains that for him this was the best way for her to notice him and to be able to get to know each other without any distractions. He even let his coworkers have days off so they could be completely alone, and that it worked out perfectly because they were able to connect. But if it wasn't for her, they would have had a nice relationship. He keeps talking about how he didn't force her into anything and says he liked her. But if necessary, he would kill her if she decided to rat him out because he's already been to prison, and he doesn't plan on it happening again. Jennifer is completely terrified whilst the guy goes into a rage, but after a while he apologizes, asks her for another chance, and tells her that sometimes he is violent when he gets angry, but not to worry. Although he continues to break things, it helps them discover that the ceiling panels seems to have no screws. She persuades the guy to lift her up as he felt bad for all this, and even gives her directions, but as soon as she gets up, she doesn't care to help him, flipping him off as she leaves. This makes him angry, so he finds a way to climb up himself. Meanwhile, Jennifer has to reach a door that is quite high in order to open it and get out. It's a difficult path, and she has to be very careful not to fall. He gets out of the elevator, and this makes it much more difficult for her to concentrate and keep her balance. He catches up quickly and prepares himself for a second John Cena grand slam, taking the leap of faith, snatching her as he falls, leaving them both unconscious. Luckily, Jennifer gets up first and has the idea of setting off the fire alarm to smoke out the place. But he wakes up, and she breaks his nose and quickly ties him up. She tortures him by threatening to cut off his disco stick. But she doesn't do it, and instead records him so she can report this. He tells her how he managed to stop the elevator, his whole plan, and that his real name is John Deakins. She forces him to say all the things he did to her, like hitting and kidnapping her. That's when he tells us he actually did work for a big company, and when he did it with a girl in the car. It was true, but he was drunk and didn't realize he was going over a cliff. They ended up crashing, and because of the girl's death, he ended up in jail. And when he got out, no company wanted a convict anymore, and he spent all his money until he ended up taking a job as a guard. He also tells her that he always liked her, and that's why he needed to be with her and talk to her. On the other hand, we see Eddie, another security guard who arrives at the building with his girlfriend Ruby. When he arrives, he sees Jennifer and John stuck. He opens the door and sees Jennifer, who is desperate to get out. Eddie goes to get a tool, but John knocks out Jennifer so she can't snitch. When Eddie comes back, John tells him to bring the key inside and go up because it'll be easier. But as he climbs in, John activates the elevator and holds Eddie between the outside and inside of the elevator, severing him in two. John knocks out Jennifer again, leaving her unconscious, and puts her in the trunk of his car. After that, he throws Eddie's corpse down the elevator shaft, as well as all his belongings. He wipes off all the blood, puts on his uniform, and also deletes all the files from the cameras. As he's doing that, Ruby shows up and asks him about her boyfriend. He quickly gets rid of her by saying that Eddie left and that she should leave. But when she turns around, he kills her to leave no witnesses. He drives to a dumpster where he plans to dump Jennifer and blow it up. Before he says goodbye, he says he regrets this and still loves her. There's no response, so he opens up the trunk and it seems that she is dead. But when he walks away, she gets out and thumps him with a gas can. She takes advantage of that moment to get in the car and escape, but looks in the mirror and realizes she can't live with him alive. So she drives backwards to run over John, who ends up getting into the dumpster. She sees him lying there and decides to take revenge by setting him on fire with one of the cigarettes. Then finally leaves this mess for good. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the little bell so you don't miss the next videos.